Tom, let's talk about the 3 most important things you would have liked to know about carrying a gun before you started. What are you thinking about now that you didn't think about when you first started carrying a gun?
Well, for those of you who don't know, Wisconsin only got our concealed carry about 10 years ago.
Yeah, 2011. So.
Yeah, so this is not something where we've had it forever. I would say that something that I've certainly grown in appreciation for, because I was already a prosecutor and then I think a defense attorney by the time that our concealed carry laws rolled around. So I already had a keen appreciation, let's say, for the laws. But having watched a decade plus of clients roll through, or just all the different ways you can screw up with a firearm. I mean, and the thing is these are good people. These aren't people who, they're yahoos out there just kind of, flaunting the law and whatnot. I mean, these are people who are trying to follow the law. Maybe they're not doing as good of a job as possible to be constantly studying every last single aspect and, working through every last little detail of, okay, here's that, but it just goes to show you that there's an enormous amount of responsibility and there's a lot of tripwires out there and things that you can screw up and get wrong and possibly go to jail or worse.
I'm pausing the video quickly to remind you that we have a secret giveaway going on that ends really soon and it's free to enter. Just click the link in the description below to reveal what you could win. Now back to the video. Yeah, absolutely. I got my first concealed carry permit in South Dakota back in the early 90s. And when I look back on that now, wow, was I green. I didn't even know the laws. They didn't even give me the little document like you get here in the state of Wisconsin about what the laws are. I went to the sheriff's department. I signed the paper. My concealed carry permit came in the mail like a week later. There were no questions asked, and I started carrying a gun. And understanding whether or not I was required to retreat or whether or not what, the level of force I could use to stop an attacker and why and how, I didn't know any of that. And that's far more important than being able to shoot my gun straight at 5 to 10 yards. That, for me, that's easy. And I tell people all the time, as an instructor, I can train you to hit a human-sized target at 10 yards in about an hour. We can get you competent shooting. But this understanding of what could potentially happen to you and all of the other, the actual real world considerations. Like I said, it's heavy when you're carrying a gun. You got to get the right holster. It doesn't feel really good. What are you going to do when you go to the bathroom? All of those sort of things come into play. It's not just one little thing. It is a concealed carry lifestyle. You are living your life with a gun now.
Right. Yeah. And I would say that if I was giving advice to other people about, well, what would you do? It's, well, obviously you need to understand the laws. You need to understand your firearm and how to safely do things like holster, draw, and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I'd been competing and doing different things for some time prior to the Wisconsin laws coming around. So a lot of those things, it wasn't like I was new to guns, right? And I purchased a firearm so I could conceal carrying. I had already had firearms for some years at that point. So I would say another thing for me would be that I wished that I personally would have known would have been exactly how many holsters I'm going to wind up with.
Yeah.
Because I'd always heard about people joking about that, on forums. And my very first concealed carry instructor, who's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have a drawer full of holsters." Yeah. And that drawer is more like a laundry basket.
Yeah, the term I heard was the holster box. Let me go to the holster box.
Oh yeah, I have a box for as I've kind of gone through different phases of different preferred concealed carry guns. Then you can see exactly what kind of holsters I was considering at that point in time. And at this point, I have it, at least for my personal preference, I have it pretty well refined. I like this kind of holster, and I'm going to do it like this, and all that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, it's I knew it was going to be a ride. I didn't know how much of a ride it was going to be as far as the evolution of the techniques and the corresponding evolution of the gear. And sometimes it's the other way around. Maybe there's a better piece of gear that you like, and as a result, maybe that jumps from the passenger seat into the driver's seat about making different decisions because it's so good. It's like, well, maybe I can tweak what I'm doing just to take advantage of this level up over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I never considered until I really got serious about concealed carry was the difference between practice and training. And you get training to understand the why behind how everything works, and then you practice that training later on. And for the first 5 years of me carrying a gun, I mean, I was practicing. I was standing out there shooting at a stationary target saying, yep, I'm doing great. This feels really good. And I had absolutely no concept of what it meant to be in a dynamic self-defense incident. And once I started learning about that, it was just like someone had lifted the curtain, and now there was so much more to learn. And I started to be concerned about carrying this gun. Am I going to do the right thing? Am I going to get in trouble with my own gun that I'm going to use to save myself? So it was a very eye-opening experience.
Right. I would say because we're doing 3 each, right? So I would say a third thing, which is something that maybe I undervalued, right? Like back when I started carrying, I would say the draw. I think it's something that when people kind of visualize the situation, they're just kind of skipping that step. Like, okay, well, I go from concealed to it out. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that varies depending upon obviously how you carry. If you change where you carry, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's a big consideration. If you change what you're wearing, that's a big consideration. You know, different guns draw differently. Different holsters, your firearm will be seated higher versus lower. Different types of pants or belts. I mean, you really need to make sure that with an unloaded pistol pointed in a safe direction that you're really practicing this. You and I have seen, unfortunately, you know, for those of you who are regular viewers of our channel, you know that Kevin and I sometimes look at real world videos, right? Where we're kind of talking about, okay, they did this right, they did this wrong. And we've done videos where the good guys do not win.
Yeah.
And when we do those videos, it's often a screw up at the draw, or they're carrying an empty chamber. Those are not the only ways that you can die and something can go awful, but those are certainly, I would say, among the more frequent reasons. They're disproportionately represented in a bad way that you see them all too many times. So, you know, I had practiced drawing from doing like IPSC and IDPA and that kind of stuff from an open holster position, but I wasn't as serious as I should have been about drawing from a concealed position underneath different types of clothing. And of course, different firearms will draw differently depending upon if you have an exposed hammer and all those sorts of considerations.
Yeah, understanding just how long it really takes to get your gun into action, I think is so super important. Well, thank you very much for sharing your insights this time again.
Thanks, Kevin.
And because you made it more than 3 minutes into this video, hey, now you get to guess how many bullets are in this cup. And if you guess right, producer Dylan, he's going to put your name on the screen and shout you out. Before you go, you just missed one of our best videos that got over 500,000 views. Click right here to watch it now.